Hello and welcome to Beyond Games, the YouTube channel all about what's next for gaming. I'm John Jordan. So the news we've got today is Netflix has finally announced what's been rumoured for a while, that it is going to push into games, or push beyond films and TV into games. I don't know, which way round. Anyway, Netflix and games is happening. So this is sort of something that I guess we can maybe overemphasise. It's kind of hard to know exactly how aggressive they're going to be into going into games. What we do know clearly is Netflix massively successful in terms of providing sort of films, TV, streaming media, and it's sort of built out that model. Everyone else has sort of been copying from Apple to every other player out there. So Netflix really successful, and it has an enormous number of people subscribed to its channel, and they're enjoying that. Netflix is making all this cool stuff, and people are watching it. I guess in the long term, the problem for Netflix is that there's only so much TV people can watch, and gaming is sort of a massive competitor to something like Netflix. So obviously, if you're watching TV, you can't really be playing a game, at least a sort of PC console type game. So it sort of makes sense to Netflix to start to take some of the gaming content and put it within its platform, because it's already got tens of millions, hundreds of millions probably of people that are subscribed to its channel. They're not all going to want to play games. But a certain proportion of them are, and if it just keeps those people within its platform rather than going off to Steam or to play on their console, it's going to be able to monetize them more. But I think it's sort of at the beginning, it's sort of like baby steps for Netflix. So they've announced, basically they've hired this guy Mike Verdu. He's been around, pretty well known. He's worked at EA, Zynga actually as well, Facebook, doing some of their Oculus VR stuff. So he's just someone who's known in the industry, sort of a safe pair of hands. I don't think he's sort of radically going to kind of rip up the rule book. And there's going to be various other people they're obviously kind of hiring to bring out this game team. Obviously, what we're assuming at the moment is Netflix is not going to be making games. Making games is really hard to do. It's really expensive, and you're likely to make rubbish games, as Amazon is finding out at the moment. So we imagine in the short term that Netflix will be basically going out to game makers and licensing games. May even kind of, I don't know whether it will build out its own streaming technology. Probably will, but potentially it could be using someone else's streaming kind of back end as well. So it just kind of do these baby steps and kind of start to see what games do its audience want. Do they want to play MMORPGs through Netflix? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Probably they probably want to maybe start off with a range of games and see the people playing hardcore, midcore, casual sort of stuff, and find kind of the sweet spot for where it works. And then basically I think with Netflix, what it wants to do is obviously is have retention. It wants to retain people in its kind of ecosystem, what we call it, in its app or whatever, for as long as possible. It wants to have as many hours as possible of the leisure time people have into Netflix, and that just keeps people there, keeps people happy. And even if it's not going to charge for games per se, which it probably won't in the short term, it will allow people. It will stop people sort of churning out and stopping their accounts, because they got some extra stuff, some games in there as well. And it allows them in future to do some interesting, maybe sort of more sort of the mashup stuff, the more sort of interactive TV shows. So it will be interesting to see. But it's probably not as radical a step as maybe the headlines suggest. So I don't think Netflix is not going to be competing with Nintendo to make the best games. It's basically got a big streaming platform. It's got loads of audience, and it makes a lot of money off those people. And if it can keep those eyeballs for longer, and obviously it can start to do stuff like it can cut deals with game developers. So maybe maybe game developers would pay to get on the Netflix platform, because they know there's all these millions of players, tens of millions of players. So there's probably some interesting business deals as well that can go on. And we'll be keeping our eyes on this and seeing how this plans out, because it is a general sort of push. We have seen it in the past that lots of companies have tried to do, lots of non-gaming companies have tried to do gaming in this new tech way. I guess Google at the moment is sort of struggling with Stadia, where it's its game streaming platform, where it was going to make games. It got rid of all that. It's just streaming sort of PC games now. And Apple Arcade is, they're not making games, but they've got this very specific sort of premium mobile game strategy going on there. No one quite knows how successful that's been, but again, that's not really to monetize those people. That's just really to keep them in the Apple ecosystem, and Apple sort of gives away free subscriptions to Apple Arcade if you're buying their hardware and stuff. So games are being used in interesting sort of ways as sort of enticements for people to either buy hardware or stay in streaming services, that's great for game makers. So the more places they can put games, obviously, the more successful they can be. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Beyond Games, the YouTube channel all about what's next. So keep it here. Please subscribe, and see you again next time.